Suzuki in, score!
The Montreal Canadiens are proud to select Ivan Demidov.
Hello and welcome to another post-game episode of the Curfew Boys. Chris here, coming at you with Stassman Joe and, of course, Anxious Anthony. Anxious Anthony, who was at the game tonight.
Hey now!
How was that?
Oh my God!
Before jumping in, guys, let me remind you, for all of our listeners, if you like what you hear, make sure to follow, like, and subscribe. You can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Of course, if you'd like to see us, we've also got you covered on YouTube. But for any additional content, you can also tune in to our Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter feed. And also, just a little sneak peek, a little teaser, pretty big episode coming at you this upcoming Friday. We'll be recording, and we'll see how quickly we can get it out to the public thereafter. So, Anthony, I completely cut you off there. You were at the game. You got to see that massacre. Tell us about it.
So basically, I get these tickets. They're amazing seats, center ice, Desjardins. So free food pretty much. But put the free food aside, I was center ice facing the bench. It was like heaven for me. And then that puck drops. I'm fucking excited. That beautiful ceremony at the beginning with the old timers for the 4 years in a row winning the Stanley Cup from 1970. Correct me if I'm wrong. 74 to 79. Am I right? Or 75 to 79?
75 to 79.
Yeah. So it was a beautiful ceremony. It was nice to see that. I really thought the boys would have came out tonight strong. I know the Rangers are a very good team. I wasn't taking that away from them. I knew it was going to be a tight game. I thought it would have been a tough game to play, but not what I saw tonight, especially after Nick Suzuki's interview this week of saying, he's disappointed of the play, of how he's playing, how the team is playing, and it's come out, he's going to play the best game of his life, whatever, tonight. And I don't know, the team was asleep. A lot of lousy mistakes. They were not connecting. Just the first 3 minutes of the game, 2 goals right away. 9 shots on net, 4 goals. Montembeault letting 4 horrible goals. Now, yes, we can look at and point fingers at the defensemen. I want to blame Monty because there were play that, they just...
Technical difficulties.
How was the atmosphere? How was the game? What? I cut off?
We might be running into some technical difficulties on your side, Anthony.
Yeah, you're a little delayed. We caught most of it though. From it. Anthony is currently coming back from the game, so I don't know if you hit a tunnel, but you should be okay now if you want to finish off.
What, did you guys hear anything I said?
Yeah. It was just the ending. You mentioned about Suzuki and the 4 horrible goals and the defense.
Okay, yeah. So, anyways, I think I'm getting carried away here because I know we have a lot to talk about. But basically, the question you asked me: how was the atmosphere? How was the Bell Center? Look, there was a lot of good moments of this game. Yes, we got destroyed. We got, eaten alive by this team, shots wise, goal wise, you name it. But there was a lot of good moments that we can reflect on. But we can get into that later. I was just very disappointed that these boys came out not the way I expected them to be, especially after, Marty being disappointed in the team, the players being disappointed in themselves, and they just played worse than the last few games. Go ahead, guys. You can speak. Sorry, babbling over here.
So, Joey, the game was lost in basically less than 3 minutes. You wanna elaborate on that? You wanna tell us how you feel?
I mean, how is there any way to feel besides disappointed and angry? Anthony said it best. Like Suzuki comes out during the week, talks about how he's always mentioned about wanting to have a good team and not be the team that they were, but they keep showing what we are. And I keep saying it. I think Marty's too soft on these players, and I think he was soft on these players tonight. I'm sorry. I think there needs to be, I'm not going to say changes, but there needs to be something that has to change in their mindset. And Marty, the way he sort of gets the message across to him, and if he's not getting the message across to them, I'm sorry. I'll keep saying it. We might have to look not only at the players. You can only change so many players. I'll say that, and we're changing a lot of players. But to be this way for most of the season, like I said, in every game we've played this season, we have only, for a 60-minute hockey game, we can only say we've been better than the Ottawa Senators. I know that doesn't always show in results because we did beat Toronto. But to me, if you're usually the better team, you'll usually win more of the games. So I'd rather be on that other side where, let's say we have this record. I think it's 2-4-1. We would be playing better in most of the games. And I say, okay, the results will come. But stat wise, eye test wise, and I'm looking at the eye at Marty, it's not convincing me in any way. And I'm sorry. I'll even say sorry, Sam. I'm sorry to be negative, but I don't like what I see at all. I mean, we could change the team a million times over. Tell me Line can be the big difference from going 2-4-1 to a positive record. You guys need to wake up. People need to wake up. Line would not have been the singular reason to play a 60-minute hockey game. If it's only Line, sure, we're losing by a goal, but it isn't that. We cannot keep teams from high scoring chances. Our goaltenders against good teams cannot make the saves, and offensively we can't score. Rangers are scoring 4 or 5 goals a game. We can barely crack 2. Maybe we can barely crack 2 to 3, and over a span of a period, averaging a goal or 2 more a game helps you with results in the long run. And I'm sorry, we need to. I don't know what to say. I mean, there's a mistake upstairs. I'm kind of rambling on too. Definitely could be mistakes upstairs. Evaluation of players, evaluation of coaching staff, but something certainly needs to change.
I want to just jump in quickly, and Chris, I know you didn't speak yet, but I just want to, first off, Joey, don't be sorry. I mean, we all have our opinions, but I'm starting to lean towards what you feel, and I'm not throwing in the towel yet on the coaching system or anything yet. I mean, it's still early, but I'm gonna say I am starting to feel discouraged. I'm not throwing in the towel. I think there's room for improvement because yes, we're not playing good hockey, but there is signs of good hockey here and there, which is giving me a little bit of that hope. I am discouraged because from what I told you guys at episode number 1, okay, episode number 1, I said I was excited for the season to start. I was excited to see these group of players play together. I was expecting good hockey from the beginning, and I'm very discouraged right now. And maybe watching the Rangers tonight made me eye-opening a little bit because these players know how to play together, staying in the zone, passing the puck to each other without being touched. Our team cannot do that. You can't even enter the zone properly. And playing the dump and chase game against a team like the Rangers, who are full force on, like this was the worst coaching uh, strategy of dump and chase against a team like the Rangers. I'm sorry. Again, I'm saying
And
not to say sorry, but I'm saying sorry. But I am starting to feel discouraged. That I'm gonna agree to.
Anthony, you
But
know
I don't
why
want
a
to throw
dump
in the
and
towel.
chase is dump and chase is usually not usually a strategy. Do you know why it's part of a strategy? There's many reasons, but do you know why it's a strategy in my opinion for Montreal? A lot of times it's a strategy for players who are big and quick, who can win board battles. I think dump and chase in Montreal's strategy is because they don't have enough players to enter the zone with skill. So they rely on it too much. When you're a player that cannot enter the zone properly with skill, you rely on dumping and chasing, which is what I will keep banging my head about, whether it's offensively or defensively. I'm not talking just, puck skills. I'm talking IQ skills. I'm talking even defensive skills. We severely lack that in every single department. You cannot rely on one line. Now we had half a line tonight because Slavkovsky and obviously Doc, he's coming back from his injury. You cannot rely on that. You cannot rely. I like Kapanen, but you stick him on the second line against the Rangers. What do you normally think will happen? Not great things. Not that he cannot be a second liner, which I project him more as a third liner, but you're playing him in his seventh NHL game, second line. It's not. It's not even. I don't even think it's by choice. It's because we don't have other players. But this goes back to we're severely lacking talent. Yeah, you can bring Demidov line A, it's gonna help, but again, if they're not here, I cannot judge it that way. I gotta judge what I see, and what I saw tonight. I mean, the game's over in 3 minutes, and I don't see Marty. Not that I don't see him pissed off. It's he doesn't show it to me. So he could be pissed off
Okay,
all he wants, but if I don't see it, I can't know he's pissed off. I don't
he's
see what goes
lacking
on at
emotion. He's lacking emotion. And Chris, you have the questions in front of you. There was one fan. If you can just find his name, he does mention it in his questions of tonight's polls game questions. Again, once again
and
to all our fans out there, thanks for your interactions with us and sharing your questions and thoughts. We greatly appreciate that. But guys,
But Anthony,
Marty
he could
is
not he could have emotion. He could be showing it, but not publicly. But we don't know this. We don't see it. So I tend to think of if you have a lot of emotion, anger, you'll see it at some point, and I do not see it with him.
Yeah. So there were a couple. I don't know if I have everything over here, but um Jerry Merle Fishing wrote in, I don't know if St. Louis is the coach much longer or if he's being instructed to be
Who
this
sent
way.
this?
His name is Jerry Merle Fishing.
Jerry Merle Fishing, you are onto something, my friend. Welcome to the Joey. I call it the Joey eye test, and this is very important to keep an eye on.
But we also do have, and this is the one that Anthony was referring to. We also had Mitch 29 Demetrio who wrote in saying, "When is Marty St. Louis going to show some emotion on the bench? It's so frustrating."
And
And it
when are
is
the
frustrating.
fans start to realize it and stop thinking, oh, he's from Montreal, he's from Quebec, he's Quebecois, the fan favorite. I've been through that with other sports. It doesn't work. Whether you're a fan
I
favorite,
understand, Joy, but it's still too early. I think right now it's a little bit early because the players
no,
enjoy
I
playing
am
with Marty.
I am
And there's a
not
lot of
saying
players who shine with Marty. I'm
I am
not
not
saying he's the
saying to
full
get rid of
problem.
him, Anthony. I am not saying that at all. I'm saying I think fans should start paying attention to this more, which I don't believe they are, and I think we should start keeping an eye on him. I'll always say it in that
I said
way.
it episode 2. I feel Marty is a little off. There's something about him, the way his press conferences are, the way he is behind the bench. He's not the same Marty I saw last year last year
Last year,
first
he had
off.
no pressure.
Okay? But it's only 4 games in. What kind of fucking pressure do you have right now?
It's not 4 games in, Anthony. We're
Or
at seven,
whatever,
but
seven, but still.
it's not looking great because you're looking to improve and we're actually regressing. It's
Agreed.
pressure from the beginning of the season because you're there to perform better. Hughes said, "I will make the team better." Yes, Line is out. I get it, but he has, and guys have gotten a year older. You should see progression, and not even progression in results, progression in play. We're not seeing it. We're being outshot, outplayed every game. If the Rangers actually was able to shoot even a little better, the game could have ended. What did it end? 6-2 or 7-2?
7-2 with
7-2.
It could have
seven posts.
post. It could
With
have ended.
seven freaking
I
posts.
I'll be very fair. It could have ended like 11-3, 11-4 because we hit a couple ourselves. So Rangers, not all 7 posts could have been goals, but even if you give them 4 of the 7 or 3 of the 7, it would have ended in a double-digit score.
Oh, 100%. And how many shots on that? 44, 48, something like that? Every
Um,
time Rangers had that puck,
yeah,
I,
it was
I was
dangerous, right?
it was dangerous. They have
That's a
quality
hockey
in their
team.
shots.
Um, uh, th-
Quality.
that
You
is
spoke about this last year, Joey, about you can have 40, 50 shots on net, but if they're not quality, it means nothing.
yeah.
Well,
Montreal.
Rangers tonight had so many quality shots, and I agree with you. If the post didn't happen and if Primo didn't have those top saves, okay, it would have been a double-digit game.
In the Carey Price era, when Montreal would outshoot a team, if you watch some of the games the way they play it, you would see their shots are just random shots from the point. They're not going to work. You know what's actually
Floaters.
improved? I will say penalty kill, we were second in the league. Power play has improved. We scored a goal tonight. It improved a little bit, but everything else regressed. Their 5-on-5 play
And that's what freaks me out, because if all we needed to improve was the power play and penalty kill, because our 5-on-5 was not bad last year. And now we regressed on that and got better on the stuff that we needed to improve. It makes no sense. Like
it still needed to improve the 5-on-5, but yes, it has gotten worse.
That's
I
what I'm
don't know
saying. But
why.
imagine last year's 5-on-5 with this year's penalty kill and this year's power play so far. We'd be a better team. But before we continue, Chris, I haven't heard from you. I want to hear your thoughts on what we're saying.
No, you know what? My role, my second round at hosting, I want to ask you guys more questions, but I will reiterate some of the things that you did say before we do, in fact, move on. You have Marty playing a shake and bake role with the lineup. Nobody's used to playing with one another. In all honesty, that the whole Marty factor, like I am so not ready to start being hard on him, but I think we have to call a spade a spade. I think Marty identifies very well with Cole Caulfield, and he's also very much supportive of Lane Hudson. And you saw the discussion that he openly had with Lane Hudson. RDS panned in on that, but I don't feel like Marty's with everybody. And like, I'll be the first to say, obviously he's my boy. Arbor Jacki doesn't get that freaking treatment on the bench. Why is it like that with certain players? If Marty had a certain way of passing a message to, yeah, I just don't feel that the message is coming across clearly for everybody, or that it's not being delivered in the same manner for everybody. So yeah, there's a little bit of frustration developing. Joe, you mentioned one name that a lot of people are asking about. You have Caleb Bourgoin. I hope I'm pronouncing that the correct manner. He wrote, I have my answer to this question, but I just want to hear from you both. Doc, conditioning stint in the AHL? Question.
I just think it's that's very tough.
Wait,
I'm
what's the question?
gonna
I
say
didn't hear
no.
you.
I mean, we don't have anybody like even Doc now at his worst. We don't have anybody. Like who are you gonna bring up to replace Doc while he does this conditioning stint? Barre Boulet. We don't have anybody. Joshua Roy maybe. But again, we don't have anybody that's gonna come up and be like, "Oh, okay, our team's gonna be better." We just don't have it. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, that's fair.
I'm
That's
gonna
fair.
say no. I'm gonna say no to that.
I'm gonna say F no, no chance. You don't send him down to the AHL. That's the last thing that we're gonna be doing with the guy. But I will say that Doc has to pick it up. He's really one of the biggest factors. Like I thought he has been one of the weak links on the power play. I'm the first to criticize Mike Matheson. I'm gonna get to Mike Matheson in a second because there's a big event that kind of popped up towards the end of the game. But I'm very critical of Mike Matheson, but Kirby Dach has made some horrible passes on the power play that have led to zone clearances, opportunities going out the window. Kirby Dach, we know that you have it in you, but you got to get better quickly, hopefully. And on that note, I mentioned Mike Matheson, but Mike Matheson tonight, he did something that was, in my opinion, the reason why he deserves the A on his chest. Jacob Trouba, solid hit, but dirty hit, in my opinion. Shoulder straight to Justin Barron's face. Mike Matheson doesn't think twice, goes up against a monster of a man in comparison to himself. Held his own, surprisingly. What did you guys think of that hit? I know I'll line you up here. We have Anthony Ebarb, who wrote suspension for that kind of hit on Barron. That's ridiculous. What do you guys think about the hit?
Go ahead, Anthony.
I was on the opposite side, so I like the hit happened on my side. So from my angle, I saw him go to the boards, but I didn't see the hit exactly. So I need to watch the replay They didn't show the replay on the big screen. Of course, they won't show something like that at the Bell Center. But I didn't see what exactly happened. I did see the big bang on the boards, but I don't know exactly how the hit happened. So if it was a head hit, then yes, he deserves a suspension on that and a review with the board. But I was very happy to see Matheson drop his gloves, and that's what I want to talk about. We spoke about this a few games ago that this team needs to start getting a little bit physical, and when they get physical, we get we build momentum in the game, and I feel like we play a lot better when we had that physical aspect to our game. And tonight was very weak, and lately it's been very weak. We need the guys to stand up for each other, and what Matheson did, I was very happy. There's something about Anderson. I don't know. I know Anderson's not a fighter, but that guy is scared to drop his gloves. He's scared to push and shove. There was a moment when there was that fight with Matt. There was another situation. There was a big fight in front of the net, and one of the Rangers players pulled Anderson away and brought him to the corner and started like trying to punch him. And Anderson just kept pushing him away to saying, "Leave me alone. I don't want to fight. I don't want to fight." I get he's not a fighter and he's probably trying to prevent another penalty. But there's something about Anderson like as if he's scared to stand up for his
Well,
team. I'm not understanding.
we have too many players like that. I think the team just lacks general toughness, and they play kind of scared. Yes, you have Jack Guy, what Matheson did tonight, and to me, I think that comes from higher than the players. The message got to be clear to them that you guys have to be tougher, you guys have to be more aggressive, and they're just not being it.
They're not. I agree with that statement, Joey.
They're they're lacking aggression. They cannot score, and they cannot play 5-on-5. They cannot defend. So what can they do?
You know what? I will say the team is still very young, and it's probably going to still take some time to click. They don't look overwhelmingly strong, but then again, they're still boys in comparison to men. Like these guys were much bigger than the junior players that they played against, a lot of them, but still a lot of them are still very young. And until they reach that age of like
Yeah,
24,
but
25,
but
26,
Chris, but
they're
Chris,
still going to be.
but isn't being a young player in the league give you that motivation to be that tough guy? Not only toughness, but that guy who is not scared because you want something to prove. You see that with
You
other teams.
you
The younger players have something
Yeah,
to go out and prove.
it's
Why are
you
we scared to
also
think about it?
you also don't want to make mistakes as well, right? So you want to you have a little bit of you want to be a little cautious when you come into the league because you're not well
Okay,
established. So
fair. But you said this
yeah.
before, Joey. Okay, you said before that this team, most of these players are second year. Okay, what I saw tonight, last year we had this excuse. These guys are young. They just first started playing with each other. They need to build chemistry. Blah 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 blah. That was last season. This year, what's the excuse?
oh, there is none.
Tonight's game looked like all these players played together for the first time. There was a lot of
Yeah,
passes not connecting. There was a lot of mistakes. The bounce was the puck looked like it was bouncing around. It wasn't, but like as if these guys did not know how to connect passes. They didn't know where they were on the ice. How many passes were made accidentally that there was a lot of turnovers from them. I tonight looked like these guys were all over the place. Something is going on. I do not know what it is. Maybe I'm assuming, but there's something happening in that dressing room because it doesn't tonight did not make any sense to me. They had a
given if
3-day break.
given if everyone is healthy besides Line, what happened at the beginning, because I know Gooley's been out, because it's been happening even when Gooley was in the lineup. Montreal only ice, I think it's 3 first years, right? Hudson, Heineman, and Kapanen. So Anthony is definitely onto someone. There's not that many players that are first years besides them 3, and 2 of them, to be quite honest, are fourth liners. So they still don't seem to know how to play with each other, besides maybe the first line on certain nights. But it can't be that Caulfield has 6 goals, besides Suzuki scoring tonight. I mean, you can even judge the other games. Caulfield has 6 goals. You got Gallagher at 2, but obviously start to go down, probably as predicted. You maybe have Heineman with 2, and then you have very odd 1 from everywhere else. When you look at the Rangers, you got guys with 6, guys with 3, guys with goals, guys with 4, massive difference. You cannot rely on one guy to score you all the goals just cannot be. And I don't know. We need to severely look at the root cause of his issue and find a way to change it.
Well, you guys, I want your opinions in a second, but I do want to I do want to bring about an opinion, and I do want to answer two of the fan questions slash remarks. So, said 1203 writes, "What do you think the reason for the first 5 minutes?" Well, it's a little bit of a cut question, but what do you think, or what do you think the reason is behind those first 5 minutes, the 5 minute chaos, or the first 4 minute, or even 3 minute chaos? And then Maddie Rodriguez writes, "Tough start for the boys tonight. What do you think was the biggest problem?" I'll tell you right away. This goes back to young, inexperienced defensemen. When you look at them racing back, yes, this is a huge turning point of the game, and it was a huge factor. The Canadians get scored on very early. They get a few chances, they get scored on. The puck goes the other way. Zibanejad gets a one-time shot, pops it top corner. Great shot. Less than a minute later, you have a puck that's sent down the ice looking like it's going to be icing, and I think rightfully so. I think it should have been an icing call, and they should have absolutely
But
called
why
it.
leave it to doubt?
But that exactly, Joey. Thank you very much for saying exactly that. That is a lesson for the young players on the team that has to be taken into consideration after this game and never forgotten. You do not go back in a lackadaisical manner. Push. Don't leave it open for interpretation. Don't leave it open to chance. Push to get back. Again, as much as that goal should have been called off, or that should have been just that play should have been whistled dead for icing, it wasn't. And why wasn't it? Because the guys were borderline floating backwards. And that actually might be the reason as to why they canceled the icing. They might have said, no, this is not icing. These guys are not pushing. So lesson to the young defensemen, push,
Well,
get back.
let's
But,
see.
what other elements, I just wanted to know from you guys, what other elements do you think were maybe lacking? I think that was a momentum killer, but were there any other elements in the game that really killed us?
I
But
was
but that's what made me question all this, because we started strong. The first 2 minutes before Zibanejad's goal, whatever his name, I forgot his name. I can't even say his name. But
Zibanejad.
Zibanejad, we had a good offensive moment. We had opportunities. We had
Anthony,
shots.
one moment is not really. I mean, starting strong is the first
No,
5
no,
to
no.
7 minutes.
No, what I'm trying to say is that we had that moment. It was intense. We had opportunities, and then boom, the counter attack was first shot, first goal. And then again, a minute later, the icing situation where, yes, I can blame the defenseman inexperience, but also Montevo. He just stood there. He did it.
He
He
looked
needed
the
to
other
prove
way.
himself too. He looked the other way. He should have played the whole scenario, had to play the whistle. Play the whistle. So you don't hear the whistle, the game is still on, no matter what the situation is. But yes, that was a big momentum killer, because if you remove the first 5 minutes of that game, I think it could have been a close one up to the third period, because then again, the third period they regressed a lot. But anyways, there was
When
lack of communication. I think that's the
they
conclusion
they
of
weren't
this lack of
prepared.
communication. They weren't prepared, and there was a lack of communication between each other
I
tonight.
expect Mayu to be benched for it. I'm sorry, I don't want to sound like a sergeant type coach, but that's something you learn when you're a kid to never stop. So I expect Mayu to be benched next game. We'll see if Marty does it.
We'll see how he does, because again, I find the treatment differs from player to player with Marty.
You
Sadly,
wouldn't bench him for something
I
that
I
stupid
think,
of a mistake?
well,
I
the
don't think he
big thing,
deserves. I
guys,
don't think
is
bench. I
Well,
probably would
a
have
message
benched
got
him
to be
a
conveyed
shift or
to
two.
him.
I'm saying I should have maybe benched him 2, 3 shifts after that moment, but I don't think he deserves to be benched the next game.
Okay.
Just
so
overall, he had some
I
good
want
moments
Marty
too.
to show a bit of toughness, so maybe that's why I'm saying it like in a hardcore manner. I wanted Marty to show a bit of toughness, and maybe that was a way to convey a message. But if he has another way, hopefully it goes through to the
It
players.
should have happened tonight.
so
He should have
on.
benched him 2, 3 shifts after that
Did
goal.
did he even bench him? I don't remember seeing it.
Oh,
No,
he
I
didn't
don't think
bench
so.
him,
No, he
and
didn't.
and
But
I
that would have
agree.
been your move.
But that's where I might have a different opinion than you guys. Like, I don't think he should have been even benched for one shift. but the player should have been pulled aside immediately and told,
But was he pulled?
you know what happened? That shit never happens again. You got it? Are you clear?
But
Do you
was he
agree?
pulled? Do you guys have that feeling he was? Because I certainly
No,
don't.
no, no, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And the question as to whether or not he's going to sit next game, I don't think so, because I'd put a 90% odd on the fact that Justin Barron has a concussion. Jack is going to be back in the lineup, and I wouldn't be surprised that Barron is concussed and out.
That's
So,
very true. But if you take one of our paisans, as what we say, John Tortorella, that guy would have taken Mayu and benched him.
oh
No
yeah,
questions asked.
yeah, or
Italian
CK
style.
Moscow, SK Moscow coaches as well as they like. Anyways, that's a whole other conversation in itself. And also to Anthony's point, talking about Montembeault, gone are the days of Carey Price. Gone are the days of an elite, top tier, best of the best goaltender like Carey Price to bail us out. We have Cameron Brown, 01, who says the goalies have to be better. It's not all on them, but we need a
But,
save every now and then from them.
but
And
Chris,
like you guys said, that the absent-mindedness, like that's the difference between a guy who's the best of the best, who's going to be dialed into every single game, know where the puck is at every given moment in time. I'm like, it might sound like an exaggeration, but if the play was whistled dead, Carey Price was the type of competitor that if a guy was coming and dropping a puck loosely that was floating towards his net, he didn't even want to let that shit in. And that's not, sadly, that's not Monty. Not yet. Not even close to
Chris,
being that yet. So,
I know you're
um,
you're
I, I,
looking at a negative, but I'm gonna start a big controversy. To me, it's a positive. We got rid of a big problem, with his salary. I hope you know this.
oh yeah, absolutely. But I'm
We
just saying,
we
gone
can
are the
we'll
days
never
that we
get
can
another.
count.
If we want to win a cup, we'll never get another Carey Price. Sorry to
Jacob Fowler,
sidetrack.
my friend.
We'll never
Jacob
get
Fowler
another.
before his big contract kicks in.
Then maybe in that sense, because we know you'll never win a cup if your goalie is your top earner. So I love Carey Price, but we kind of resolved that sort of issue, but we're not resolving it in other ways. Anyways, that's my little side note.
I wanna ask you guys. I mean, we're already at 32 minutes here. We love keeping these short and sweet for you fans, but I definitely want to talk about one player who really. I was thinking it. I regret not putting it in the group chat because when you think something hockey related, and then it comes out to be a reality, and you're like, "Fuck, I don't have any proof that I actually said it outright." But when the Habs went down, as quickly as they did, the first thought that came to mind was, okay, Suzuki, it's time to be a leader. It's time to be a captain. And he was. He kind of dragged them back into the game. He did. He had a spectacular second goal. But on the flip side, there was something that Anthony, who again was at the game, had brought to our attention. Suzuki didn't come out for the third star. For
That very
for
that
both for Anthony and Joey, I'd like to get your opinion. Is
I'll tell
that a
you I'll tell you
sign of
now,
a captain who's angry, or is that something that's just a no-no?
It's
angry
both
or
for me.
not, you don't do that as a leader. Okay, you don't. If you want to be a leader, and you want to wear that C, especially after a night where you fucking have a ceremony with these old timers, uh, saying on the microphone how they're proud to wear the CH, and then you go pull a stunt like that. Already, it was an embarrassing game in front of these old timers. Okay, number one. Number two, let's go back to Suzuki. Okay, yes, disappointing last few games, crazy embarrassing game, but you got the third star in front of 21,000 fans. A third star over 22,000, 20,000, whatever. Okay.
21,273.
Thank you for the stat, Joe. But I, going to the Bell Center these days it costs you a lot. A family of four, you're looking at $1,000 because tickets are minimum $200 a person, plus the food. Times it by four people. If you're going with your kids, you're spending almost $1,000. And there's a lot of young kids in that state in the arena wearing that Suzuki jersey. It was a shit game. All the fans were disappointed. but a lot of fans stay for the 3 stars. Okay, a lot of fans stay for those 3 stars because they want to see their favorite player come out and wave at the fans. And especially if you're the captain and you got called out for the 3rd star, I think you deserve to give the fans some sort of respect to come out after all the money we spent to come watch you guys. You gave us a shit night. You gave us a disappointing night. And on top of that, you don't come out on the 3rd star. That is not leader material. I'm sorry. You could be as angry as you want. You could be as embarrassed as you want. You could be pissed off as you want. But if you're wearing that C and wearing that fucking jersey that we're all proud to wear, win or lose, you fucking come out. Now,
Well
I'll
said,
give him
Anthony.
the benefit
You come
of the
out.
doubt. I'm going to give him
All right,
some sort
guys.
of benefit of the doubt.
Well,
When the game ended, I was with a friend of mine, and I said, okay, do we leave? Because I highly doubt there's a Habs player coming out for 3 stars because no one performed tonight. So I was very surprised that Nick Suzuki was called. Maybe he was not aware and he was already in the dressing room. I don't know. I'm trying to give him that. I'm having a little bit of hope that he probably wasn't unaware that he was a star. But if he really decided to stay inside that dressing room when his name was called out, I'm very disappointed. That's all I have to say.
I'm gonna say the flip side. I'm gonna be honest. I understand your point, Anthony, but on the flip side of things, I think that's just a very fierce competitive nature. He might have even wanted to get back to his teammate and know what's going on with Barron. You know, people are walking out. I know that there are always going to be a handful of fans that are going to stay and they might want to hear from their player or see their favorite player. But all in all, I can see emotionally somebody who is very passionate, don't always take losses very well, and I could see why he might have wanted just to head back to the dressing room and not necessarily skate out and celebrate what was a major loss and a smackdown, if you will. With that said, guys, dernière minute de jeu, last minute of play. I just want to give us some acknowledgement to a few fans that have not been mentioned, some of the comments and questions. So, why is Owen Beck not in the lineup? He's doing very well in the minors. Let him continue with that. We also had again Caleb Bourgoin. He said Hudson creating multitude of goal scoring opportunities, but no one's there to bury it. You're absolutely right. Josh Anderson had to bury that perfect pass that he made right in front of the crease. That there are no excuses. There's Joey's comment with about 16,000 eyes across the board. He's got his eye on Marty. He knows what he's looking at. He knows who he's looking at, and he's zoned in.
Well said, Chris.
Continuing on, when do the Habs wake up after these poor performances? I don't think there's a better time than now. That was again, like I said, a smackdown. It's time for the team to really get up and get at it. Malik Joe wrote, "Is it too early to start looking at the 2025 mock draft?" Malik,
Never
calm
too early.
down. It's not a good draft year. Unfortunately, we don't have any generational talent. So unfortunately, save yourself the pain. Don't start looking into that. And of course, Vithersan, who was another individual who shares our opinion, sadly, says playing a game like that in front of Habs legends slash Hall of Famers is embarrassing. Completely agree, and it has to be better. It has to be better. It's got to be a quick learning curve for these young guys. Um, let's hope that's the case, and speedy recovery to all of the guys on the press gallery, particularly our Slavkovskis, our Patrick Laines, and of course Barron. After that hit tonight, he's been one of our solid offensive defensemen. Again, special mention to Mike Matheson. Hats off for a guy that was a big step up in a game that was meaningless at the end. Guys, anything you want to add?
Last comment, and then we can end this. I want to give credit where it's due. I know majority of this episode kind of pointed fingers at Marty. He did one thing right tonight. One thing right. Losing that much, he did a little bit of a change because he had nothing to lose at this point. You finally put Hudson on the first power play line. And I was fucking happy to see that. And he had an opportunity. I think this was a mistake. I don't know if you guys, I mean, from my angle, you saw the whole ice at this point. There was a point where he was at the point. All he had to do was go to the middle there was a pass that came that direction. He was just not positioned properly. But if he was at that position, it would have been a fucking beautiful goal. But all this to say, him on the first power play line was the right thing for Marty to do finally, and I think we should. I hope to continue seeing that going forward.
Absolutely. I think, Anthony, I don't want to burst your bubble, but I think Hudson was only on the first power play defensive pairing because Mike Matheson stepped in and as a leader and fought and got basically kicked from the
Oh,
game with all his
100%. I
penalty minutes.
100%. I 100% that was the reason, but it was nice to finally see it, and I think it's something that
So
we
was it
want
a
And
Marty
Marty to see more.
decision then? Was it a Marty decision or was he
I
forced
just want to say
to do
something good
that?
about Marty. I love Marty, so I want to say something good about him tonight.
you
So
know what,
I'm giving him the
Anthony?
credit.
You're a nice guy to look at that, but if every fan knows from day one he should have been on first power play, so I look at it as he's correcting a mistake, which a mistake shouldn't be made in the first place. As easy as this one. That's how I'll end it.
Okay.
Nice. I don't think we could have said it better. As always, if you like what you hear, please follow us, like, subscribe. We've got you covered on YouTube, Twitter, or X, Instagram, TikTok. You want to listen to us and not see our faces? You also have Apple Podcasts, you have Spotify. But more importantly, we want to hear more from you. We want to get your implication. We want to get you involved as much as possible. So leave us comments on YouTube, on our Instagram posts, on the post game review. We're happy to have you and hoping to bring you more quality content. But in between time, you guys take care. We'll catch you Saturday night for the next game. And go Habs, go
Thank you.
regroup. This young team has to regroup, and hopefully it's sooner rather than later. Until next time,
Thank you for all your love and
bye
support, fans.
I
now.
know.
Bye now. Good
Good
night.
night.
Dynasty.
Dynasty.
Okay.